The Star Ceremony. It is quite true that in the course of time, women took down the stars to give them to their children. The children put spindles through them and made them spin like fiery tops to show themselves how the world turned. But that was only a game. Ogotomel, Marcel Griot, Conversations with Ogotomel. Because there is nothing in our own society that remotely corresponds to a temple of Luxor, it is difficult to understand why Egypt should have exercised such infinite pains and genius on what is ultimately a symbolic gesture. John Anthony West, The Serpent in the Sky. In storytelling, there is always transgression, and in all art. Ben Okri, A Way of Being Free. In the origin story of our civilization, the beginning started with a blazing blast, a bright bang, a big bomb. An explosion like no other explosion that any universe or any time had ever seen. We have no other story. We say this is factual and scientific, and this lie, the lie of a story of an origin sapped of compassion or love or care, is why we are building more and more and more bombs, trying to recreate what traumatized us in the first place. Because a part of us lives in the trauma of our own story about the beginning. The stars, the keepers of all of the times, tell us that we can tell this story of our beginning again in another way, over and over in the many millions of ways that it deserves to be truthfully told. I could stop there and proceed with the star ceremony, but there is a warning that wants to drip off of my tongue before I begin. If we continue to tell ugly stories of our beginnings, then we will continue to draw ugly conclusions. In fact, we will forever fear the ugly endings that ugly beginnings create. If we do not put beauty as front and back and center and all around of the story that we tell about who we are, then we will continue to aspire only to the conclusions of the stories that cheat us of our glorious inheritance. Indeed, we are beautiful, we humanity. Not more beautiful than anything else, no, but there is no need to compare. We are so very, very beautiful, all of us, nobody more or less beautiful, all of us the center of our own universe, in its hurdles and struggles and breakthroughs and sadnesses and joys. And so, my friends, here is a series of beginnings. A ceremony of the stars, a ceremony that aims to send a message to the intergalactic community that we as humanity are united once more, have stood up on our feet, and are ready again to rejoin the living universe as beautiful, conscious, loving, and self-loving, and so deliciously human humanity.
Beginning the time of the beginning, which came at the beginning. In the very beginning, that undead, flat deadness of no-go future and never been past, when only desert sands flourished and grew and built dancing mountains in a community-like way, the great bird-headed one flew down or up or to the side, from the great somewhere else that remains a mystery, and proceeded to scratch a story into the desert sands with his beak. "This is fun," he said. "I like this." And the stars smiled. "In the beginning," read the line in the desert sands, until the great shaman smith who pounds away and beats time into the fabric of all things heaved a great sigh in his smithy, and the resulting wind of his breath blew the sands into a tizzy, and, as always happens when the times shift, the beginning that had been so carefully scratched into the sands disappeared. So now, after flapping of frustration, the great bird-headed one wandered over to the sacred waters, busy looking at the sand dunes of the beach with waves like eager tongues of baby elephants, and proceeded to scratch a line into the water, just so, with his beak. "This is fun," he said. "I want to do more of this." He was surprised, however, to find that no matter how he dipped his beak into and along the water, nothing he wrote stayed etched into the waves. The delightfully changeable water blew bubbles of glee and giggled and gurgled. "I will swallow all of your stories. They will disappear into my depths and forget themselves. The water is no place for the etchings of your beak, great head of birds. Go, see if the sky will offer you her body for your play." And the winged, beaked one went to the deep blue sky goddess and, fearing more wasted efforts, which of you hasn't feared another disappointed attempt, proceeded to first ask the many silver-eyed one, "Can I scratch my stories onto your body with my beak?" The sky goddess replied, "Great winged one, with a beak of lasting memory trails, tell me, can you write with fire and gas and color in great swaths of spaces and times? My body is already full with the stories of the light of the stars. Go instead to my love, the earth. See if he will offer himself as your canvas." The great bird-headed one turned then to the god of the earth, the sky goddess's love, and asked, "Great mountainous and valleyed one, can I scratch my stories onto your body with my beak?" This bird will just not give up. Ever patient, like the stones of the valleys carved by the rivers, the earth listened to the ever-wiser bird with great compassion, thought the offer over for a few thousand years, and then spoke thus. The space between the times is less important than the answer that followed. That is why patience is indeed a virtue, despite evidence to the very contrary. Great forked-footed one with wings of hope, what will you write? Will it inspire my children to live with more love in their hearts? For you see, my children are sad. Carve me into the story that will give them hope for all eternity, and I will offer you my body. The great bird-headed god of now wisdom said, "Sure, this is fun, I like this." And so begins the story, with a masterful glyph stroke of the now very wise great bird that started it all. Wait, should I call myself wise? Thus thinks the scribe to himself, and yet the scribe reverses his thoughts the way a car might reverse on a frozen road when the driver decides it is actually time to go home. Call myself wise? Might as well. And the great bird-headed one scratched the body of the giant, never-flat earth god, and from this new and shy crevice was born a cave, and from the cave peeked out the face of a woman. The enthusiasm of the beak scratching a story always seems to bring about a tear in the fabric of reality, and from the other side, a party of friends and not so much friends comes through. The woman seemed more intrigued than surprised, as if stories, and the tears and tears they make, were cubs she tended joyfully in her cave. My, what have we here?" exclaimed the delighted scribe, ready to rip more holes in the reality with his exuberant writing beak. "Who are you?" "I am the great balancer of all things, the cosmic law," said the woman. She was polite like that. Still is, in fact, ready to explain exactly who she is, what she does, why she does it, and why everything else goes the way it does in life. And I guarantee you, she lives in the cave of your belly as well. "I make the whole of life fair and just," continued the woman. "I make it so nothing is ever forgotten, lost, and no good deed goes unrewarded." "What do you do with bad deeds?" asked the feathery-headed one. The woman smiled a smile that was mysterious, yet not mysterious enough to be questioned as a smile. This was definitely a smile. I make sure that no good deed goes unrewarded. I like you, the great bird had once chortled. I like this. The flying creature-headed god of wisdom then hummed and hollered. This is fun. I think I will do just a little bit more. Write about our children, interrupted the earth god and the sky goddess, that fantastical pair of eternal lovers. Their interruption caused comets to crash into the earth from the sky and volcanoes to explode with fire and ash. This must have been part and parcel of a very passionate embrace, for neither one of them seemed worried. Write about our children, please. We can't talk about them because they get embarrassed and tell us we're old-fashioned, but they are really something. They paused here and looked at each other, a gaze intimate, roguish and shy. Their tender intimacy caused the first plants to grow and the first flowers to blossom. Something special, said Sky. Something else, said Earth. They looked at each other again and laughed. The laughter was heard by the fish of the sea who wandered out onto the shore to catch the joke. Everything in the universe likes a good joke, after all. The earth and the sky saw the fish wandering around on the shore, and they laughed some more. The fish liked to laugh so much that they never went back into the water, and instead laid eggs in nests built in the trees. The laughter of the earth bounced across the heavens, and new stars were born. The laughter of the sky bounced against the earth, and in those places trees grew. The great wise bird laughed also, because sky and earth had laughed, and his laughter folded its way into both the heaven and the earth. And in those places new roads rolled out for the souls of all creatures. This is fun, said the now officially bird-headed scribe of all the times. I like this. I think I will do just a little bit more.